The definition of a parody is, quote, an imitation of the style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. We've seen it done in all types of entertainment, and that includes the video game world. In my review for Soldier Blade, I mentioned how much I love the Star Soldier series, dating all the way back to the NES. Well, this series has a PC-Engine SuperCD parody, with some cute-em-up mixed in for good measure. Star Parodia. In Star Parodia, or Star Parodier, or Star Parodia, I've heard it said and seen it spelled many different ways. Okay, game, we'll go with that one. An animated sequence at the start begins in a very serious way. But don't worry, it quickly changes tone, revealing exactly what fun you're in for, even if you can't understand the dialogue. It looks like Earth is sending 3 fighters to stop Mother Brain's crazy army, and this time, it just happens to be the Parodia, the fighter from the Star Soldier series, a gigantic flying Bomberman taking a puzzle game break, and a huge PC Engine console. The Bomberman ship arming up, and the insertion of a Super Star Soldier Hue card into the PC Engine slot cracks me up every time. It is a fun introduction and totally sets you up for the quirkiness to come. After selecting normal game and choosing a fighter, you'll find that while it's a parody at heart, gameplay-wise it falls into the typical vertical shooter category. Even the power-up system takes cues from the Soldier series, with each fighter being able to collect power-ups popping out from capsules or other areas. Collecting a different color will switch it up, collecting multiples of the same color will increase power, etc. The cool part here is that each fighter has different attacks by simply holding down button 2. The typical pea shooter connected to the red power-up is unique per fighter with a simple attack. After that, the yellow and blue colors tweak things up a bit more. Caesar has a cool attack that splits off when hitting an enemy or giant blue waves. Bomberman has floating balloons, as well as what you'd expect, exploding bombs. And the PC Engine? Well, you got some crazy homing missiles and CD-ROMs. Yeah, that's awesome. Even the power-up icons themselves look unique for each fighter. The power-ups and the power-up systems here are just plain fun. You also have secondary weapons to collect, such as missiles, mini Bomberman options, and various types of shields. You gotta love the spinning PCE controllers. Turbo switches up. There are bombs you can accumulate to set off in a pinch by tapping button 1. You got mystery awards, and yeah, avoid these if you can, trust me. You also have gold collectibles for points, which come in handy for the extra lives awarded at certain point values. Speaking of, 1-up icons are spread all around as well, and extra lives can add up quickly if you're having a good game, often accumulating into the mid to upper 20s. With that said, see this icon here? In this game, it's important, as collecting it will change your character to a different color at the bottom right. This indicates that when you die, even though you will be stripped of all power-ups, you will continue exactly where you left off. You can stack as many of these as you can collect, but when they run out, you'll be tossed back to the beginning of a stage. If you game over, you can continue, give up, or change your ship, but either way, you start at the stage's beginning. Star Parodia has 8 stages, and they're pretty lengthy. There is a mini-boss midway, and an end boss to contend with before moving on. The stages themselves are ridiculously charming and unique. Some have multiple layers, gorgeous color, quirky backgrounds, or awesome effects. At times you'll go underwater, around ice and snow, and over recreations of Bomberman and other overhead shooting game stages. Whoa, slow down. Just thank goodness we can speed up by hitting select, huh? I guess my point is that this game is variety central, with humor and fun along the way. It's a pretty fast-paced shooter as well, with very little slowdown. The enemies are quirky fun, from various Bomberman characters doing various things, to upset snowmen, giant mummies, and goofy, cartoony Superstar Soldier bosses. And speaking of bosses, there are also a unique combination of upset crabs, goofy fish with rattles, even more upset snowmen, and some bosses with multiple forms. As I mentioned, the game looks great, but also plays and sounds great. The music fits the mood perfectly, and there are a couple of tunes I can't praise enough, especially the one in Stage 2. The sound effects get a little lost, but that's okay because it all works well as a whole. The controls are very typical shooter fare but are solid and precise. Thumbs up here for sure. Star Parodia is an excellent shooter, but there are a few things I'm not a fan of. You cannot grab a power-up during your post-hit and post-death invincibility time. Instead, you just fly through the item, which is a bummer. Not that your post-death invincibility is really that long anyway. It doesn't allow much time for you to get your bearings, especially when you're bombarded with enemies. Oh yeah, and while the game is overall cute, I could do without those hands creeping in and stealing my power-ups. Those few things aside, I love Star Parodia, and if you can get into the spirit of what it's trying to do, I think you'll really enjoy it as well. Oh, and let's not forget they even included the traditional Soldier Series caravan stages here with 2- and 5-minute campaigns. You have access to all power-ups, and there are some unique enemies tossed in as well. The controllers with the giant guns crack me up. As usual, you try and get the high score. This gameplay can be selected at the title screen, where you also have an options menu available for changing the game's difficulty, screen size, and more. Plus, there's a how-to play if you can read it. You know, I wish Phantasy Star Soldier, the almost released American version, would have made it here. I know there's a prototype floating around somewhere, so it might be worth a look. Star Parodia is quite charming and has a lot of variety with cute 'em up to the max. It has a good balance overall, is fun to play through, and makes for a solid SuperCD shooter entry. If you're into parodies and cute 'em ups, you can't go wrong here, but be warned, we're talking Sugar Rush Sweet style cute 'em ups, if you know what I mean.